Walkerville is a remarkable suburb, independent of Butte, with a rich history and remarkable people. In this video, we will discuss its history, its present, and its hopes for the future. When you talk about the history of Walkerville, you must always start with the Alice Mine, where in 1875, the Rollo Butcher discovered the claim, one of the richest silver mines in the area, becoming the first resident of Walkerville in the process. In 1876, the Walker brothers out of Salt Lake City purchased the claim through their agent, Marcus Staley, for $30,000, almost $900,000 today. Following the discovery of the precious metal at the area soon to become Walkerville, a large wave of Cornish and Welsh immigrants, fresh from the tin, copper, slate, and coal mines of Cornwall and Wales, emigrated to the emerging encampment. This purchase kick-started the development of Walkerville, with the Walker brothers dominating everything, from establishing the fire department to creating the Alice Mine and Mill Band. The Walkers even changed the name from the burgeoning mine camp from Rainbow City to Walkerville, to the disappointment of many of its younger residents. The Alice was one of the most lucrative silver mines in the city, and by 1890 had aided the town in becoming the highest silver producing mine camp in the world. And despite its contributions to the Gilded Age of the United States, it also heavily contributed to Butte's famed labor movement, as it saw the Alice and Lexington strikes of 1878 and the founding of the Butte Workingmen's Union, the first ever seen in the area. The Alice was also influential politically, with its superintendent, William Hall, becoming Walkerville's first mayor after it was incorporated in 1890. As silver prices dropped in 1893, the town's large copper production quickly replaced silver as the town's main export. In 1910, the Anaconda Company acquired a majority share of the mine. However, as World Wars I and II wound to an end, the price of copper plummeted, signaling the end of Walkerville and its mines. By 1955, the Alice was converted into an open-pit mine, to the chagrin of the residents of the town, with Walkerville narrowly avoiding the fate of neighborhoods such as Meterville and McQueen, thanks to the efforts of its longtime mayor, Jimmy Shea. The mine eventually closed in 1961, after the city sued the Anaconda Company for damaging city utilities. One of the other major mines in Walkerville was the Lexington Mine. After the initial discovery of silver at the Alice, entrepreneur Andrew Jackson Davis founded the Lexington Mine in 1876. After 5 years of operation, Davis sold the mine to a group of French investors for $1 million, becoming one of Montana's first millionaires. By the late 1880s, the mine had yielded $8 million in silver, unfortunately depleting the mine's vein of rich ores. This, coupled with the drop in silver prices in 1893 and a fire in the shaft house in 1903, caused the mine to be reduced to small-scale operations. However, Copper King Fritz Augustus Heinz attempted to develop the Lexington into a zinc producer, developing Butte's first reduction plant to process the zinc ore. Unfortunately for him, the residents of Walkerville, vexed with the dust created as a byproduct, successfully won a court injunction, halting the mine's operations. By 1916, the Anaconda Company acquired the mine, galvanizing it into producing copper and zinc, aiding the Allies to victory in World War I. Mining ceased until 1938, with a new world war on the horizon. And during that World War, Lexington became one of Butte's largest producers of copper and zinc, up until it closed in 1957. Currently, the Lexington is the only mine in Butte to have the remnants of a strike fence and a sniper nest at the top of its head frame, used to enforce a curfew during the period where Butte and Walkerville were under martial law from 1914 to 1921. Now that we have covered some of the major parts of Walkerville's history, let's now examine its present. After the decline of mining in the 1980s, Walkerville's economy was severely impacted. Its few stores were driven out of business, and the residents of the town were either moved out or worked as commuter workers.
Um, there used to be mom and pop grocery stores up there at one point in time. More than anything, though, guys, once you kind of get those big chain stores like Albertsons coming in and Safeway and the big one's Walmart. Once Walmart kind of came in, that kind of sealed the deal when it came.
Despite the clear economic impacts of the mine closures, there were also a significant environmental impact on the town that needed to be cleaned up with the cessation of mining operations.
And with so much of that mining occurring right there, there were waste dumps. And one of those largest waste dumps was the Alice right there. And I remember growing up in Walkerville and my brother and I riding bikes over to the Granite Mountain Memorial, and there's no real grass up there. It was all dirt. I mean, it was all brown, kind of red dirt, and we'd play in that stuff, before they kind of capped it off.
I think it was kind of early 2000s. For a long time, there was not a fence there.
Oh.
So I've talked to old neighbors who used to live up there, and basically just you'd be able to go into it. It was a crazy thing.
Having a large pit in your backyard, that's always kind of a big moniker, but it never filled up with water like the Berkeley pit did. But they still had to cap it off. They still had to, bring in dirt, seal that off right there.
Where kids once played in mine tailings and families lived on the remnants of ore, former mine yards are now safe playgrounds, and dangerous pits are fenced off.
We have some pretty nice stuff. We have a new park that got put in. Probably when I was like 5.
Oh, cool.
But it's modern, it's nice and clean, and it's nice. It's very nice.
Eventually, though, they put in a walking trail. They put in picnic benches up there, and that was really nice for the people of Walkerville and the people of Butte.
Despite the significant economic resurgence of Walkerville, with tourism and new businesses, such as a new grocery store currently being built.
When it comes to businesses, I know there's a lot of spots trying to start up. Like, for example, just by my house, actually, there's a store that's trying to open up.
Walkerville still has not recovered in the same way Butte has, with the median income of $44,000 to Butte's median of $56,000.
Growing up, it was always kind of one of these things going back from the time of mining of the hill kids versus the flats kids. If you grew up on the flat, maybe you were the wimpier kind of snobby kid, when it came to that. Oh, the country club kid out that direction. Oh, those hill kids, they're tough. The Walkerville kids, they can take.
Due to this inequity and other reasons, Walkerville is also known for an increased amount of crime compared to the flats, specifically drug-related crime.
You're going to have crime wherever you go. I mean, does it have the lack of crime that maybe the country club has? No. Is there going to be crime? Yeah, probably right there. I think with that and with being a tight-knit community is if you're doing something you're not supposed to do, people are going to know about it. And that kind of stops people from stealing or stops people from doing those things. Unfortunately, our community has a drug problem. And that's kind of one of those big issues right there. And it makes people do things that they probably wouldn't do sober.
However, this has led to certain advantages for the community. For example, having house prices almost 100% cheaper than the ones in Butte. In fact, the suburb has been called the last remnant of Butte's once neighborly disposition before the creation of the Berkeley pit and the collapse of mining operations. Overall, Walkerville is a community unique, not only to Butte, but to Montana as a whole. While it has fallen hard times, with the decline of mining and suffers from those economic and societal effects, it is working to improve upon itself. With all these efforts, hopefully, Walkerville can once again be Butte's shining star on the hill.